Hello, everyone. Today, we'll learn how to create a flow in Langflow and access it in VS Code using the Python API. Langflow offers multiple ways to interact with your flows, including curl, Python APIs, JavaScript APIs, and Python code. Previously, there was even an option to embed flows in HTML. For those unfamiliar with DataStax or Langflow, I highly recommend looking them up. These are incredibly powerful tools that allow developers to drag and drop components to create AI applications with minimal coding knowledge. DataStax, in particular, stands out for its dynamic vector database, which we'll explore in detail in the next tutorial. Now, let's dive in and create a simple flow. First, I created 3 input components. You can easily drag and drop these components from the left panel. To align and organize them, click on the box icon located in the lower left corner. These inputs will be referenced in the prompt component. Here's the prompt I've written. It starts by defining a persona, followed by a detailed explanation of what each input represents. Keep in mind that while we cannot explicitly format the output in JSON, we can define the structure within the prompt. Next, I named the components for clarity. The first input is for the user's profile, where we collect details like age, weight, height, sleeping habits, and work hours. The other 2 inputs are for physical and mental goals. For physical goals, users might aim to lose weight or gain muscle. For mental fitness, we've categorized options like quotes of stress management, improving focus, and concentration, and more. Next, I connected the nodes to the prompt component. From the left panel, I dragged in the Open AI component, which I'll use to access GPT-4o Mini. You can choose other models if needed. I securely stored the OpenAI API key and added it to the component. This is a secure approach, especially if you plan to share the flow with others. Uh, Finally, I added an output component and connected it to the OpenAI component to complete the flow. Let's test this with an example. To save time, I've already created sample inputs. For the profile, you can see the details here. For physical goals, I'm requesting recommendations for muscle gain. And for mental goals, I need suggestions for stress management activities. At the top, you'll notice it says building, which means the flow is running. Once the run is successful, the desired output will appear in the output component in JSON format. Next, we'll open VS Code and create a Python script named goals SPI. After that, we'll return to DataStax to tweak the variables, profile, physical goals, and mental goals. Then, we'll copy the code from the Python API section. We'll simplify the script by removing unnecessary parts. First, we'll remove the main function, followed by any unused libraries at the top. We'll also remove code related to file uploads and warnings. Next, we'll import the .env and OS packages to manage environment variables. We'll manually specify the API endpoint and remove the flow ID. For the application token, you'll need to go back to the DataStax website to generate it. This token, along with the OpenAI API key, will be stored securely in a .env file. We start by calling the Langflow token and storing it in a variable. Then we remove unnecessary comments and the placeholder for tweaks. Next, we create a Python function that includes tweaks, taking profile, physical goals, and mental goals as input. This function calls the run_flow function and returns the output based on the tweaks and application token we just set up. To simplify the script further, we remove additional comments. We also modify the return code to generate a more readable output instead of a complex JSON structure. The JSON package is included for this purpose. Now, we call the get_suggestions function, passing it a sample input for profile, endurance improvement, and stress management, and store the result in the variable. Let's print this result. You can see we get the desired response. Using this approach, you can leverage the Python API to deploy your Langflow workflows on platforms like Streamlit or Gradio.